Hi, this is the video for Daf Shevui Daf Lammed Het, page 38 of Masechet Ketubot. This chapter has largely been about an institute called the Knas, the fine. By the way, Knas is from the same word as census. It is a Roman word. It is not a Hebrew word. But in any case, it's largely about the fine that we read about in Exodus 22 and in Deuteronomy 22. And the Mishnah that comes up on Lammed Het really gets us to a transformation in the understanding of this fine that happened in the rabbinic period. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this today and really go back something that I probably have not done properly, and go back and look at what was the purpose, the biblical purpose of the fine, just to show you how at least Rabbi Akiva transforms it. So the passage in Deuteronomy, which I'm not going to get into all of the details, but the rabbis believe is dealing with rape. I believe that the pshat, the simple meaning, and many biblical scholars believe this as well, that the simple meaning is just any time there is premarital sex. The Torah says if a man comes upon a virgin, and that is significant, who is not engaged, in other words, he's not having relations with a married woman, and he translation here reads, seizes her and lies with her. Again, rabbis interpret this as rape. I interpret this as just premarital sex. And they are discovered. The man who lay with her shall pay the girl's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife. Because he has, and I would translate this, laid with her, he can never have the right to divorce her. Now, the meaning of this in the biblical context is that this fine is not really a penalty or a punishment on him, but this fine, this kesef, is really what the husband would have had to pay as the bride price had he properly married her. And this we can see in the verse in Exodus where they call this kem mohar habetulot, as is the bride price for virgins. Because what happened here, leaving aside whether the girl consented or not, let me assume that the girl did to get the issue that I know is very difficult to talk about a case of rape. Let's assume that they're just two lovers and they have premarital sex. What, in the biblical times, what should the husband have done? The man, the paramour, if you will. He should have gone to the father and engaged in a marriage with the father. That's just how things were done back then. And the father would have gotten what was used back then as a bride price, however we understand that bride price. It wasn't a fine, but this was a price that was normally paid from the husband to the father. I wouldn't go so far as to call this buying the daughter, but it was really to compensate the father for the loss of the daughter, and I could go deeper into detail on that maybe on some other occasion. But here the guy did this without asking the father first, so the Torah is really teaching quite simply he does not get away with doing this without paying for it, right? If he wants to marry this woman, which I think the Torah assumes that he does, or at least he wants to lay with her, he's going to have to compensate the father for the money he would have lost. Now that makes sense only in the sense that he's going to give it to the father. The rabbis create this idea through a young girl, and this is our Mishnah I'm reading from, who was betrothed already and then divorced in her first marriage, meaning she's still a virgin. Rabbi Yossi Haglili Omer Ein La Knas. Rabbi Yossi Haglili says she does not receive any fine. And Rabbi Akiva Omer Yesh La Knas. She has a fine, uknasa le'atzma. She keeps her fine for herself. And I really want to talk about Rabbi Akiva here, because this is the first instance that we hear of the fine going to her, not going to the father. And we can see here the way that the fine has been transformed from really a bride price that the father was supposed to get into some sort of penalty on the husband for not engaging in marriage, in which case, even if she consented to this, he still has to pay her those 50 shekels, at least theoretically. Again, I emphasize this is theoretical, according to Rabbi Akiva. We're going to see later on that the rabbis really carve out a remarkable amount of independence for women by saying that girls move out of the authority of their father at the age of 12 and a half. This is not something we really ever hear about in the Torah. It is only something that comes up in rabbinic literature, and it really carves out the notion that a father's authority over his daughter is severely limited to the time when she is a young girl. After that, she receives her own fine. She marries herself off. She's really the one who is in control of her life.